Welcome to a presentation by Joanna Roy. Today we will discuss University View Academy, a Louisiana K-12 charter school, and the 2018-2019 State of the School Report. Our agenda today, as we learn about UVA, will be general information. Next, we will discuss the demographics, population, etc. Next, we will discuss data analysis. Where are we now? Then goals. Where do we want to be? Then plans. How do we get there? First, let's talk about University View Academy. University View Academy is a public charter school. It's completely free, it's fully online, and it's flexible and customizable. UVA students. These are the gender demographics for the high school at University View Academy. In our freshman class, we have 159 males and 194 females. In our sophomore class, our 10th graders, we have 126 males and 215 females. In our junior class, 11th graders, we have 104 males and 204 females. And in our senior class, 12th graders, we have 105 males and 166 females. Let's discuss the ethnic and cultural makeup at University View Academy. Here we can see in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, our greatest numbers of students are Caucasian or white. The next highest percentage of students come in the African American Black category, while Hispanic, Latino, Asian Pacific Islander, and American Indian or Alaskan Native are in the three lowest percentages. The next thing we're going to discuss is the data analysis. This will show us where we all are now in terms of testing data. Today we're going to discuss some general testing data. Then we will review testing data by gender, followed by testing data by ethnicity and socioeconomic status, and finally testing data school versus state. That would be the state of Louisiana. Let's discuss some general testing data from 2018. In the year 2017 to 2018, our English 1 LEAP 2025 students scored 45% of the students scored a mastery and 5% of students scored advanced. These are the two highest categories. The next highest category is basic, with students scoring 29% of students scoring in that category. 18% of students scored approaching basic, and 3% of students scored unsatisfactory. In the English 2 LEAP 2025 category, we see similar results with 6% of students scoring advanced, 35% of students scoring mastery, 27% of students scored basic, 19% of students scored approaching basic, and 13% of students scored unsatisfactory. For mathematics, our general testing data for 2017-2018. For mathematics, our general testing data for 2017-2018 includes 34% of our students scoring mastery in Algebra 1 and 4% of our students scoring advanced. As you can see, this is a lower percentage of students who scored in the two highest ranges than we had in English. 32% scored in the basic category for algebra, 19% scored in the approaching basic category, and 11% scored in the unsatisfactory category. In geometry, only 2% scored in the advanced category, and only 15% scored in the mastery category. This is by far the lowest percentages we had in advanced and mastery. 35% of students in geometry scored in the basic category. A whopping 41% of students scored in the approaching basic category, and 7% scored in the unsatisfactory category. LEAP 2025 for 2017-2018 general testing data. In U.S. history, 8% of students who took the test scored in the advanced category, 23% scored in the mastery category, 35% scored in the basic category, 11% in the approaching basic category, and 23% in the unsatisfactory category. This is a large percentage in the unsatisfactory category. We want the majority of the students to be in advanced and mastery. Next, we're going to discuss some testing data by gender. In 2017-2018, we have some testing data for males and females. The males are in green and the females are in blue. As you can see, the percentages here, females are doing slightly better than males in every category except for basic. Males scoring slightly lower in the advanced category. Males scoring significantly lower in the mastery category. In basic, again, we have males scoring higher than females. Looking at our math scores, we have algebra and geometry. We have females scoring slightly better in the mastery category in both algebra and geometry. Males scoring slightly better in the basic category. In approaching basic, males scored slightly better in algebra. Females, a higher percentage of females scored approaching basic in geometry. And for the unsatisfactory category, we had a higher percentage of males in algebra and a higher percentage of females in geometry. In the U.S. history LEAP 2025 testing data, you can see in our advanced category, 11% of males scored advanced and 6% of females scored advanced. In the mastery category, 22% of males scored mastery, 23% of females scored mastery. They were exactly even, males and females, 36% scoring in the basic category. In approaching basic, males were slightly higher at 19%, scoring approaching basic, while females had only 7% scoring approaching basic. And females were significantly higher in the unsatisfactory category, which means they are not doing as well, with 28% scoring unsatisfactory and 11% of males scoring unsatisfactory. Some testing data by ethnicity is next. This is a general look of all of the scores from University of U Academy from 2016 to 2017, broken down by ethnicity. We have Hispanic, Latino, Black or African American, white, and 2 or more races. And these are just general numbers, which we are going to break down in just a second. In 2017-2018, the only data that was recorded by the state was Black or African American students and white or Caucasian students. So this is a general chart of all of the tests that were given in 2017-2018, broken down by the ethnicities of Black and white. There was no data for the other ethnicities. From 2017 to 2018 on the right. In English 2, white students performed better in advanced, excellent, and mastery. Which are the highest categories? English 2, it looks a little bit different from 2016-17 to 2017-18 because we switched from EOC to LEAP 2025. So you can see we switched to advanced and mastery, basic, approaching basic, and unsatisfactory in 2017-2018. But the highest categories in excellent, advanced, and mastery, white students are performing better in those categories. Black and white students performed about the same in the good, basic, and fair approaching basic categories. So here is the good and fair category. Here is the basic and approaching basic categories. And then there were a higher percentage of Black students who were performing in the unsatisfactory and needs improvement categories. In English 3, white students performed slightly better in the excellent categories, and significantly better in the good categories. And that is for both years. Black students had a higher percentages in the two bottom categories of fair needs improvement. What does this tell us? The gaps that this shows us is that the data is consistent for 2016-17 and 2017-18. It clearly shows white students performing at a higher level than Black students. So there is a clear ethnicity gap based on this data. In mathematics, we have Algebra 1 and Geometry for 2016-2017 and 2017-2018. Again, you can see that these tests changed slightly as they went from EOC in 2016-17 to LEAP 2025 in 2017-18. In 2016-2017, white students had significantly higher percentages in excellent and the advanced and mastery categories. Looking at the testing data broken down by ethnicity in mathematics, we can see that in algebra in 2016-2017, white students had significantly higher percentages in the excellent category. White and Black students scored about evenly in the good and needs improvement category, and Black students had a higher percentage scoring in the fair category. In 2017-2018 in algebra, we can see that white and Black students were about even in the advanced category. White students were significantly better in mastery and basic, and Black students scored higher in the approaching basic and unsatisfactory categories. There did not appear to be a gap in 2016-2017, not a large gap. There was a greater gap in the 2017-2018 data. In geometry, Black and white students performed similarly in the advanced category in 2017-2018. In both years, a higher percentage of white students scored in the top categories of excellent, good, and mastery, and basic, while a higher percentage of Black students scored in the fair, needs improvement, approaching basic, and unsatisfactory categories. The gaps we found were that in algebra, there did not appear to be a gap in 2016-2017, but there was a gap in 2017-2018. And in geometry, there appears to be a racial gap in both years. For biology EOC and U.S. history EOC, the scores can be directly compared because they are the same EOC test. In these, we did not switch from EOC to LEAP 2025. So we compare them directly between 2 years. However, there is no data for Black students for U.S. history in 2016-2017. In biology, Black and white students both scored a little worse in 2017-2018 than they did in 2016-2017. In 16-17, Black students scored. In 16-17, Black students scored 36% excellent and good, while white students scored 52% excellent and good. In 1718, Black students scored 31% excellent and good, while white students scored 46% excellent or good. For U.S. history, in 1718, Black students scored 50% excellent or good, while white students scored 64% excellent or good. The gaps we found here are that white students performed significantly better in the upper categories than Black students did. These are the same gaps we found in the other ethnicity data. Here is some testing data for socioeconomic status. These are economically disadvantaged students versus not economically disadvantaged. This is the testing data for math 2017-2018. As we look at this testing data, we can see that economically disadvantaged students scored lower in the advanced and mastery categories and higher in the approaching basic unsatisfactory categories. It is clear that students who have a higher socioeconomic status consistently score better than those with a lower socioeconomic status. The socioeconomic status data for English shows the same results. Economically disadvantaged students scored lower in advanced and mastery categories and higher in approaching basic and unsatisfactory categories. The gap is the same, that students who have a higher socioeconomic status consistently score better than those with a lower socioeconomic status. The testing data for history and biology show similar results to math and English, in that the economically disadvantaged students scored lower in advanced and mastery categories and higher in the approaching basic unsatisfactory categories. Students who have a higher socioeconomic status consistently score better than those who have a lower socioeconomic status. The next section we're going to review is testing data from the school versus testing data from the state. In these charts, you will see this year's data, or last year's. In these charts, you will see the 2017-2018 data for how the schools In this chart, you will see the 2017-2018 data for how the school performed compared to how the state of Louisiana performed. In blue, you will see the Louisiana statewide percentages, and in green, you will see the UVA percentages. As you can see, in both English 1 and English 2, the Louisiana state percentages are higher in the advanced category. This is the category that needs the most improvement. For mastery and basic, we had more students, a higher percentage of students scoring, and we had a lower percentage of students in unsatisfactory, which is exactly what we want to see. So in English, our goals are going to be to improve the number of advanced scores in English 1 and English 2. Next, we're going to look at testing data in 2017-2018 for the school versus the state of Louisiana for Algebra 1 and Geometry. For Algebra 1, UVA is consistent with the state in most of the scores. The state is slightly higher in mastery, we're slightly higher in basic. Approaching basic, state slightly higher. Unsatisfactory, we are slightly higher. And advanced, we are exactly the same. Our goal in algebra is still going to be to advance the number of Our goal in algebra is still going to be to increase the number of advanced students we have. In geometry, we need to decrease the number of approaching basic students. As you can see, we have a large number of students scoring in the approaching basic category and a very small number of students scoring in the mastery and advanced categories. In basic, we're about the same, and in unsatisfactory, we're about the same. So our goal is going to be to bring these students to here, bring these students to here, bring these students to here, and then we will look like we are in good shape. Finally, we have U.S. history, testing data, school versus state. Again, our goal is University View Academy needs to raise the number of advanced score students. Again, our goal is to raise the number of students we have scoring advanced. Based on the data analysis, we have certain strengths and weaknesses at University View Academy. Our strengths. In the subjects overall, English, history, and algebra scores have majority of students in the mastery and basic categories. Gender-wise, both male and female students performed about the same, with females slightly better in English and math and males slightly better in history. Another strength is the UVA versus state performance in English, algebra, and history. Our scores are comparable with the state. Some weaknesses based on the data analysis. The subjects overall. Geometry is the only subject where the majority of students performed in the approaching basic and basic categories. Ethnicity-wise, white students performed better in all subjects from 2016-17 and 2017-18. No data was collected for other ethnicities in 2017-2018. UVA versus state performance, our weakness would be in geometry, where our scores are significantly lower than the state percentages. And overall, University View Academy needs more students to be scoring in the advanced categories for all subjects. Some specific strengths and weaknesses at University View Academy based on the data analysis and teacher interviews include: in English, our strengths are non-literary, expository text reading comprehension, answering questions based on expository texts, and incorporating textual evidence from reading passages into the student's writing. Our specific weaknesses in mathematics include interpreting expressions that represent a quantity in terms of its context, interpreting parts of an expression, such as terms, factors, and coefficients, and interpreting complicated expressions by viewing one or more of their parts as a single entity. Another weakness in mathematics is representing constraints by equations or inequalities, and by systems of equations and or inequalities, and interpreting solutions as viable or non-viable options in a modeling context. And our third major weakness in mathematics would be solving proofs. Our goals. Now that we have looked at where we are, we're going to look at where we want to be. School versus state, our goal is that UVA will increase scores in all subjects so that UVA performance is higher than the state standard. In geometry, our goal is that UVA will drastically improve its geometry test scores so that they are comparable to the other test scores. In ethnic and socioeconomic gaps, the goal is that UVA will close the ethnic and socioeconomic gaps between Black African American students and white Caucasian students. And scoring advanced, our goal is that in all subject areas, UVA will increase the percentage of students who score advanced. Our plans on how we get there. We're going to work together to take what we're already doing, what we can start doing now, and what we can do in the future to meet our goals. What are we already doing? For the school versus state and scoring advanced, we have been implementing curricular changes to vertically align document-based analysis and essay writing in high school social studies courses. Our English programs we have been working on are No Red Ink and Actively Learn. Science programs added include Nearpod. Also, advisory teachers have been assigned to go from grades 9 through 12 with students so that no student gets off track or fails to graduate. As far as closing the ethnic and socioeconomic gaps, UVA is promoting higher education to all students. Students from lower income families may not have many discussions about college. Counselors will emphasize the available scholarships and make a concentrated effort to call the students and build relationships with them. They will also devote extra time and efforts to sharing about college with those students from lower socioeconomic status families. We have also added a dual enrollment program, and a Jumpstart pathway. As far as increasing geometry scores, the math programs and resources we have recently added are Khan Academy, Math Lab, and IXL. We have added more tutoring office hours for individual tutoring with math teachers, and we have added some LEAP 360 practice assessments to the curriculum. Now let's talk about what we can start doing now. For the school versus state and scoring advanced, new teachers are being hired so that each can focus on fewer students and provide more differentiated instruction and individual attention to the students. We are going to add even more tutoring office hours and add even more LEAP 360 practice assessments to help meet this goal. For the goal of closing the ethnic and socioeconomic gaps, we're going to start having teachers analyze their pass-fail rates overall and break them down by gender, race, and socioeconomic status. Once a specific gap has been identified in individual classes, master teachers will help the teachers develop goals and create a plan to remove the gaps. In terms of increasing geometry scores, new teachers are being hired so that we can focus on fewer students and provide more differentiated instruction and individual attention to the students. We will add more tutoring hours for geometry, and we will add more LEAP 360 and practice assessments. What can we do in the future? For the school versus state and scoring advanced, and for increasing geometry scores, we are going to make a switch to the Tier 1 curriculum as identified by the state. In order to close the ethnic and socioeconomic gaps, teachers will attend professional development to become educated on how to effectively teach students from different cultures. Administration will observe classes and ensure teachers are using differentiated instruction and teaching in ways that would work for various cultures. Why will these strategies work? There are 3 reasons why these strategies would work, and they are understanding by design, differentiation, and best practices. Understanding by design. The LEAP 360 practice assessments and the changes in the social studies curriculum are aligned with understanding by design. They focus at looking at what we want the final skills to be and working backwards from there. Understanding by design is a proven method to increase student achievement. Differentiation. Khan Academy, My Math Lab, IXL, Jumpstart, and dual enrollment all help with differentiated instruction. These programs help UVA teachers differentiate assignments in individual classes and pathways. Differentiated instruction is required at UVA. UVA is unique in that the online environment allows for more differentiation. Teachers customize their courses to make sure the course is challenging each student and meeting any gaps in their understanding. Best practices. Differentiated instruction and understanding by design are in alignment with the best practices of teaching. Adopting a Tier 1 curriculum will also align with best practices such as the gradual release of responsibility of information to the students, integrative units, strategic thinking, collaborative activities, classroom workshops, representing to learn, and formative reflective assessments. Here you can see the references that I used to find and analyze data in this presentation. Thank you for attending. We hope you enjoyed the presentation today. Have a good day.